Frank Miller was a perfectly ordinary middle-aged man with an extraordinary amount of confidence in his own problem-solving skills. He had a tool belt, a thermos of coffee, and a deep belief that nothing on earth could defeat him, especially not a street drain. That belief was about to be tested. Frank was repairing a loose metal sign on the sidewalk when his wrench slipped from his hand. Clang! It bounced once, rolled twice, and vanished into the storm drain like it had been summoned by the underworld. Frank leaned over the grate and stared into the darkness. "Don't panic," he told himself. "It's just a drain. You are smarter than a drain." He stuck his hand inside. At first, everything felt normal. Cold water, slimy leaves, something that might have been gum from 2009. Then he touched the wrench. Frank said proudly. He pulled. Nothing happened. He pulled harder. Still nothing. He twisted his wrist. Now his hand was definitely stuck. Frank froze. "Okay," he whispered. "We are not going to make a scene." That's when a woman walking her dog stopped and stared. "Sir, why is your arm inside the sidewalk?" "Routine maintenance," Frank said calmly. The dog barked at his trapped hand. A jogger slowed down. A man eating a sandwich stopped mid-bite. Frank tried pulling again. The drain did not care. Soon, a small audience formed. One kid asked, "Mister, are you fighting the street?" "No," Frank said. "The street and I are negotiating." Someone suggested soap. Someone suggested oil. Someone suggested calling the fire department. Frank said, "Let's not involve emergency services unless the drain starts winning." Determined, Frank reached deeper into the drain with his stuck hand. Instead of just grabbing the wrench, he pulled out his wrench, a screwdriver he dropped earlier, 2 coins, a soggy leaf, and something that looked like it had once been part of a shoe. Every time he pulled something out, the crowd cheered. Yes, get the screwdriver, free the hand. Frank was now sweating. His arm was numb. His pride was injured. A teenager started lip streaming. Frank heard him say, "Guys, this man is losing the fight to plumbing." Finally, Frank had an idea. "If the drain is holding my hand," he said, "I must become smaller." He twisted his wrist sideways, wiggled his fingers, held his breath. The crowd went silent. Slowly, pop, his hand came free. The wrench flew out. Frank stumbled backward and landed on the sidewalk, holding his tools above his head like a champion. The crowd applauded. Someone shouted, "He did it." The dog barked approvingly. Frank stood up, bowed dramatically, and said, "Thank you. I will be signing autographs later." He packed his tools carefully. Before leaving, he stared at the grain and said, "You win this round, but not the war." From that day on, Frank tied strings to all his tools, and every time he passed a storm drain, he crossed the street, because once in his life, he had been defeated